Hey guys, welcome back. So I thought I would go ahead and do a haul today of what I got at Bull Moose. I still actually have quite a bit of money left on my gift card, but this was exceptionally cool because I got two bags of animals that are like all cryptid related, except for this guy. This guy I've had. But I'm gonna start off with some of these are cryptid, some of them are more. I will say, actually, let me, before I even state that they're cryptids, I would say for me, 50% of unexplained creatures that people cite, I feel like a good majority of half of them are prehistoric. A lot of them being like dinosaurs, being dinosaurs. Um, But we'll start off with this guy. So he was one of the animals in the bag. So this is a pretty poor quality Styracosaurus. But if you, I would say if you want to look it up, actually, let's look it up. If there was, Styracosaurus, they were a whoops, they were mainly related to Triceratops, so they were in the Triceratops family along with the Pachyrhinosaurus, the Cosmoceratops, but the Styracosaurus. So this is a kind of a poor description. They didn't have a short horn like this. It was much longer, and then they had these other horns or that were not like this. This, as I said, this is a knockoff, pretty bad figure of a Styracosaurus. But it is a great dinosaur, which this definitely closely resembles something else, like maybe even like, oh, what is that creature that Paul Bunyan saw? But he described it as being like a rhino triceratops hybrid. It wasn't the Snallygaster. It was Paul Bunyan cryptids. But he ran into a lot of these like weird animals. But this is definitely more as I said, a Styracosaurus would have a larger horn and had horns like this but longer. So this, as I said, this is a poor quality Styracosaurus. Where if we look up a picture of a Styracosaurus figurine, or let's go with Styrac cryptid. But to look at the what an actual like, so it's funny because there is a animal that resembles a Styracosaurus. It's a cryptid, but it's called the Nagobu, which is a purported cryptid in Cameroon, which is in Africa. It's a part of Africa. But it says it's reported to be as the size of an elephant. Horned, herbivorous. It's described with multiple horns, leading some to speculate it's living ceratopsian dinosaur, although it was more likely an unrecognized rhinoceros. Um, It says similarities and features like the Styracosaurus, which was roughly 6 to 18 feet long. The Nagobo is reported as having a thick body and specifically multiple horns that resemble the facial and frill structures of ceratopsian dinosaurs. So they're saying it's described to look like a ceratopsian, a styracosaurus, this African cryptid, um, but was the size of an elephant, which is huge. Um, so yeah, this is kind of a knockoff of but next up we do have this guy. So this guy here is very interesting. So he's actually a dinosaur or a dinosaur from one of the Jurassic World lines, I'm guessing. Definitely a cross between like a Stegosaurus and Ankylosaur. And for each, I think, Jurassic dinosaur, they have this thing that you can lift up, but it actually, you can scan them on the app and it will tell you about them. Um, but let's see if there's any cryptids that look like an Ankylosaurus or that have a thick bony shell. Because the Beast of Boscow, that one is more resembling a turtle than a Ankylosaurus. Um, wow. But the thing is, it says the ankylosaur of Castro Desert is a cryptid with a dinosaur-like appearance reported from South Africa. This cryptid was introduced only in Japanese books, and the spelling Kisoro Desert is tentative. In 1954, a man named Hale, this spelling is tentative as the original text is written in katakana, was driving his car in the Kasuro Desert when he was attacked by a strange creature. The creature was a 4-meter reptile whose entire body was covered with armor like structure. The reported description is similar to the dinosaur like cryptid beast of Karoo, also reported from South Africa, and the strange place named Kasura where the ankylosaur has been cited. Maybe a misspelling of Karoo. The beast of Karoo sighting is said to have occurred in 1946, while the Castro Desert ankylosaur sighting is said to have occurred in 1954. But like the place name, it is possible that the information was misrepresented as it came to Japan from overseas. So they describe this creature being dinosaur like and having armor. But probably something closely like this: reptile skin, hard armor, or something a lot lower to the ground. Next up, we do have. we do have a very interesting lifelike cryptid. So, those of you that know about a lot of the marine reptile cryptids, meaning the sea monster category, I mean, yes, we think of animals that, when we think of the Loch Ness monster or Champ from what is it, um in Vermont, what is it, Champ, Lake Champ, I believe it's called, or Lake Champlain from in Champ Cryptid. Yeah, Lake Champlain, but it is located, so it's actually shared by New York and Vermont, with a portion extending into Quebec, Canada. Um, but it got its name from the lake itself. Um, but here is a picture and a photograph of this animal. Now, this is the photo that was taken. But those of you that look at this photo, because the thing is, when somebody sees something like that in the water, some people are going to say, is it an elephant having the trunk out of the water? This thing looks too serpent, or like, as I said, serpent like. Um, I feel like this isn't even real. It could be just like a branch too, but this actually was, I can't I remember reading about this picture that it was not real, but ooh, no. But the thing is, plesiosaurs, so a it could be a plesiosaur. And the reason why I state that, a lot of people theorize that a lot of the lake monsters they are seeing, a lot of them are described as plesiosaurs. But what people do not know about these animals, these prehistoric marine reptiles, is that something like a plesiosaur actually have to breathe air, meaning that they don't always stay underwater, but they need to come up and submerge. They name them the submarines of the marine reptiles because they, unlike the Mosasaurus and other bigger marine reptiles, where a plesiosaur, I mean, there's different kinds of plesiosaurs as well, but something like, like this, they have to re-submerge out of the water. And there's some cases, some sightings where people have seen them on land, with their flippers, kind of like you would see seals on land kind of go, with their flippers. So I personally have theory that what people are seeing, and I feel like this is theorized not just by me, but a lot of people, they state to see things that stick out of the water with a neck. A lot of people mark that it could be an elephant, with the thing is, elephants do swim and do go in the water, but if it's a really thin body, it's not an elephant. And pictures that have been taken, like of Champ, like this one here is very well depicted, because you can see, if this is the neck of the animal, because I'm pretty sure if so, I'm actually gonna kind of show you guys. So I'm not sure. So an elephant uses. So actually, yes, it can use, but this does not look like a trunk. If you were to look at an elephant's trunk and the shape of it, this looks more of like a head than it does something that sucks up something or sucks up water. Like this looks more of a neck of a beast. And look at that, and then you've got the sloped body. And again, that's the thing is if we really look at the structure of this compared to our plesiosaur, the neck compared to the picture actually slopes down and in and over, creating the hump. So if this neck, if this was attached to the body, because the trunk is the nose, so it's not attached to the elephant's. If the elephant had a long neck like a giraffe, in the trunk, like this is definitely something different. Because you can see how if this is it's sloping exactly what we're seeing here. But since the animal is facing this way, or if like so if he was curling, so right here we can see, I'm going to guess he was like this. As you would see, here's his hump, but his neck would be turning over here, and that's how he'd get the bend on the other side. Because the thing is, plesiosaurs swiveled their necks, meaning that they relied on their necks to catch prey. Because they could extend out of reach and devour a fish. But this is definitely not an elephant. And these animals also were extremely fast as well. But it makes sense, too, that these animals may been believed not only to be in water, but outside of the water. Because the flippers really resemble something closely to a seal, where they could have gone out of the water to possibly sunbathe, or since these animals were able to, so I mean, it makes sense. These animals could submerge. They needed to. But there is no at all possible way that could be an elephant. Especially when you see that this neck is connected to something here. I feel like if it was an elephant, you would be seeing tips of the ears, but this is a neck connected to a body, a hump of some sort. But you can kind of see how the picture is where the head is pointing that way, and where you're going to see the neck. This is the back of the neck when that neck swivels like that. So this champ is actually facing. So basically, how I'm facing you guys now, or if I were to go like that, you could see the base of my neck, but that's the position and direction this plesiosaur was facing when the picture was taken. But it is remarkable that something like that you know, is, as I said, I think since these guys weren't even considered dinosaurs, they were considered their own species. They were they were still prehistoric, dating back to the dinosaurs, but they were not dinosaurs themselves. They belong to I mean, between mosasaurs, plesiosaurs, they all were in different genes of family. But this is I feel like a lot like Lake, what is it, Champ, um and others. I mean, there's even a, what is it, hang on, this one actually looks like this figure, but it's a lake. I think it's from Ireland. Let me check. Lake monsters, because I will say not just the US, but everywhere, like overseas, they have a good number. I would say a good percent, maybe 90, close to maybe 95, or maybe even like maybe, well, I'll go 83% of the cryptids are often marine based. And I mean, there's a lot in this world we don't even know that could thrive here. Lake monsters, Ireland. So the one of the cryptids in Ireland is called the Debarku, which is a very massive. So my speculations is this is more going to be descriptive as more of like a mosasaur kind of cryptid. But it's there's a lot of lake monsters in cryptid. They, as I said, everywhere has lake monsters. Some not even some not even described as something like a plesiosaur, like the beast of Busco was actually described as a big turtle. But my my theory is that many of these creatures, like this one from Ireland, it because they describe it as being otter like, also very dog like too. It sounds something very weird, like the Dovarku. So yeah, it's described as a giant otter. But there is a documentary of plesiosaurs that are sea monsters that describe them as plesiosaurs in Argentina. But the oldest sea monster in the world actually happens to be Champ. And there's also the Opopogo, which is a Loch Ness based monster of Canada. Um, but we'll watch that when we're not doing a live. But I also have things because some people even say, if they encounter these creatures, that when a boat says that you hit something, now these flippers are going to be like a rock, like a jagged rock, or just they're going to be extremely hard. So when a boat hits something like that, or just the edge, it's they're going to feel it because plesiosaurs weigh as long as a bus. So, and you have a boat coming, you've got a boat. We'll use this. Actually, we'll use my phone. I know, but here's the boat coming in, and it's gonna hit your. That boat is gonna feel that fin because these fin. This animal is extremely. I mean, yes, it's a really tough material for the figure itself, but imagine if this was the real creature. You're on the boat. You see this thing sticking its head out of the water. I mean, you could even like boom, but like it would look like a jagged rock to me if you saw this part. But the thing is, these animals, I mean, at least from the lake monsters, that are described, a lot of them can be described differently. A lot of them are based off of plesiosaurs, the lake monster of Opogo Ogo, in Canada. Um, Lake Champ or Champ in on Lake Champ was described as a long-necked lake monster, but there's many of them that are depicted as having a long serpent neck with a long set of jaws, which I feel like this is what you're gonna get. Some even, I mean, having a short, stubby, or really short, almost narrow like tail. But when I look at that video or picture taken, um, that looked like Champ, like you could see the head was turned, and then here the base of the neck was also turned, which plesiosaurs were able to do that. Is swiveling their neck like that, and and they would still, you would see that curve still. And yes, I would say the only like thing that could confuse somebody with an elephant is the color, because these guys were described of having being blue to a gray in color. Um, but again, this is one of the probably one of my favorite theories to discover about lake monsters is they could be resemblances or surviving, really, marine reptiles being thought to be, because they use the term thought. When somebody says something is extinct, they often use the term as thought to be extinct. How are we to know that? We haven't even literally explored this entire globe to know that. Especially if people are seeing things like this. And descriptive informations are seeing something like this or something larger with more of a wider mouth, longer and thicker jaws like a mosasaur. Or, as I said, something land based. Like, I will say a good percentage of cryptids we see, whether in the lake, on land, I feel like a good chunk of them, percentage wise, are dinosaurs. Are, could be a new gene of dinosaur, because dinosaurs evolve. people, that was a big thing with dinosaurs, is they could have evolved a lot more, really a lot, to the point where they never died out, meaning that they reproduce, or really they basically just, because there's species that, thought had gone extinct, but, a small population of them still exists, which we did find that out, and that is confirmed. But our next animal, that, since we already shared these two guys, we're going to share another scene. Actually, another. So this animal is actually a more of. You would not see these guys on land, but this is an animal that is actually not closely related to fish. It's actually closely related to a lungfish. Actually, yes, it is related to fish, but, and this animal lives in depths around 144 feet deep. But this is the thing, is that this fish had these, like, thicker fins, meaning that they were not like you, like, this fish was, I feel, I mean, these guys thought to go extinct, along, because these were also around during the dinosaurs, but it's the Kalai, what is it? Kalayakinth? Coelacanth? What is it? Coelacanth. That's what it is. Coelacanth. But this fish is closely related to a lungfish. It is the one of the mascot cryptid creatures at the Cryptozoology Museum. But this fish was actually spotted and sighted by a guy that has had multiple TV shows named Forrest Galante. But he's a biologist, and he also has his own YouTube channel where he goes around different conserve zoos, private zoos, um, and spends time with the animals, but also asks what these zoos do, how they operate, what benefits the animals. But this is actually the creature his grandfather saw, scuba diving, where actually the living the living specimen of this creature, because there is this animal is still living, but the latest sighting was, hang on, let me, so it everybody, or actually they had thought, so as I said again, thought to have gone extinct, meaning people don't know if they went extinct. Thought means these are people's observations that these animals were gone. This, again, thought. 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 Somebody, people thought they were extinct, but thinking isn't necessarily finding out the truth. But it says, they had thought to go extinct 65 million years ago, until a live specimen was found in 1938. But these ancient fish have unique features like fleshy limb-like fins, a hinge in their skull, and a hollow notochord, and they are thought to be more closely related to land animals than other fish. So these guys were actually related to more land dwelling animals and not fish, as it says. They give birth to live young, but this fish has an oil filled natto board instead of a backbone and a three lobed tail fin. Evolutionary Link provides crucial insights into vertebrate evolution, particularly the transition from fish to land animals. So this fish is definitely in evolution stages where fish turned into land animals. So this is extremely cool to see an ancient fish. But yeah, it's unbelievable. But I have a couple more. So these are gonna be obvious. These are cryptids. Um, some of them are ancestors of what we know today. All right, cool. So moving on, I might get rid of that Styracosaurus. I don't know. I think he's quite junk. Um, but here's our other bag. We got 4 bags of figures today, and they were $7 each for these expensive figures, so not bad. But we've got a big jumbo-sized chimpanzee, Gigantopithecus. But it's actually a chimp. It's one of those big jumbo chimp figures from. Yep, this is from Safari L. What is it? Safari Ltd. Chimpanzee. Yep. Okay, and they gave us a broken T Rex with a broken tail. Poor T Rex. Throw him in the trash. We got Bigfoot though, Mountain Man. So this is bull. That's right. This is the actual bull moose figure. Actually, this is a figure they made of Bigfoot in Maine. So he doesn't stand very well. His legs are kind of here. Let's see. It's almost like turbo. Yeah, he doesn't. As I said, he doesn't really stand quite well. His legs are. There we go. And then we got this lion. This, for me, is going to be more of like a. It definitely resembles like a cat. Maybe like a wampus cat. A wampus cat would be a good descriptive of this. Um, We could even potentially add like little fangs too to this guy. Make him look more of like a cat, like a saber tooth. Or something, or leave him alone and have him as like a, maybe like paint his like little tip of his tail. And of course, we've got a werewolf. I used to have this figure, but here he is. But there's our werewolf. Sam, what are you doing here? But yeah, we got Wolfman, we got the Dog Man, we've got a large chimpanzee, plesiosaur, an ancient fossil, and a lion that I feel like we can use and do our videos. Um, and I feel like this Bigfoot's actually doing the Macarena. Like, look at this. Or he wants somebody to kiss his hand. Hey, Margarita. Oh. Or he's like walking like Frankenstein. I'm Bigfoot Frankenstein. Actually, can we get? Yeah, it's like. But I love this chimpanzee. I mean, this thing is huge. Like, it just. Hey, pal, what are you doing? I'm your ancestor. But yeah, here is the dog man. He'll go with our other cryptids. And we'll put the Calaincanth, the plesiosaur, and this lion-like creature. Bigfoot, I mean, his legs are super bendy. Like, they're pretty damn loose. But anyways, guys, that will be my video. But thank you for watching. Have a great day.